Il va donc jamais apprendre, hein? I wish to sincerely congratulate all of the graduate assembled here. You have achieved one of my life's unfulfilled dreams by attending university. In the working class neighborhood that I grew up in, Moncton, over 50 years ago, girls were not expected to graduate from high school, let alone to attend university. You worked, you paid in towards household expenses, you got married, and you became a stay-at-home mom. De mon côté, mon premier modèle et le plus important de ma vie fut ma mère. Elle représente pour moi l'image idéale d'une personne dévouée par sa communauté. Elle était politiquement très active et a pris le temps de faire du bénévolat où et quand cela était nécessaire. Elle m'a enseigné le vrai sens du mot communauté. Chez nous, dans ma communauté, il n'y avait jamais un enfant qui avait faim. Il n'y avait jamais un enfant qui allait sur un lit. Ma mère, Corinne, s'assurait toujours que tous les enfants de ma communauté allaient toujours avoir quelque chose à manger. Allaient toujours avoir du savon pour se laver. Allaient toujours avoir un sourire ce qu'ils voyaient Corinne. I was exposed to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Ma mère ne le savait pas, mais elle a connu Maslow. Très, très bien, ma mère. Which spoke of the need of people to gain supportive shelter, adequate food and clothing, and security before being able to develop as a literate, socially skilled person, able to participate in our community. Too many of our programs attempted to start working on self-actualization goals when people are hungry, scared, and have no place to live. The Head Start program developed its early childhood program based on a high school preschool program, a parenting skill program, a teaching kitchen, supportive housing, integrated neighborhoods, literacy classes, and much more. We visited where they lived to see their needs and to learn of their dreams. My best days were the days that I had time to go into their homes and see them in their homes, not just have them come to me, but for me to go see them where they lived. Je me suis lancée en politique fédérale en 1997 comme députée pour la circonscription de Moncton Riverview-Dieppe, afin d'amener mes expériences à une autre échelle. J'ai eu le privilège de servir dans le cabinet de Premier ministre Jean Chrétien, et la question des sans-abri était une question nationale importante à cette époque. J'ai pu visiter notre pays d'un océan à l'autre, visiter des grandes et moins grandes collectivités, parler aux gens et de voir où ils vivent. Nous avons visité tous les types de personnes marginalisées, les personnes sans abri, les travailleurs pauvres, les personnes avec troubles psychiatriques sévères et souvent avec dépendance, et les personnes en conflit avec la loi et la société. Après ce voyage, nous avons mis en place une initiative nationale pour combattre l'itinérance, donnant aux communautés partout au Canada l'opportunité de développer leurs propres solutions. The last few years, I've been very fortunate to work with the Mental Health Commission of Canada on a demonstration research project called At Home Chez Soi. It's the largest research project of its kind in the world, testing housing first and as an approach to helping people with mental illness to leave homelessness. The research component was done in partnership with faculty and students from the University of Ottawa et l'Université de Moncton. We recently released the final report on the project. The research findings show that putting people with mental illness and a history of homelessness in regular housing that they choose Research findings show that putting people with mental illness and a history of homelessness in regular housing that they choose. How many times do people in poverty and mental illness have choices in our systems? And that includes caring support from professional works, helping them get off the street and begin to build a meaningful life in the community. The last 50 years of my life have passed so very fast. Therefore, my sincere hope for you, graduate, is that you are able to have as much fun and enjoyment as I did. I cannot remember many days not being eager to go out and see what each day will bring, to see what new life lessons I would learn, and try to make a difference in the lives of others who were not as fortunate as I was. So please, enjoy your work and have fun. Keep your sense of humor. Listen to this one now. You're going to love this one. Love those who you work with. And those you are working for. Above all, keep caring for those persons who have had so little of in their life. That's why you took the course that you took. You want to be with the people of our country. And there are people who have come to our country who have had so little in their life. That's why you're graduating today from social study. You are the pillars of this country for taking your course and being here today. Your parents should be very proud of you. You will be the ones making a difference for our country with the people that you're going to see every day. Alors, s'il vous plaît, profitez de votre travail, ayez du plaisir et gardez votre sens d'humour. Aimez ceux avec qui vous travaillez et ceux pour qui vous travaillez. Et surtout, gardez une place spéciale dans votre cœur pour ces enfants et toutes ces personnes qui sont dans le besoin. Now, I read my speech today to make my husband and my son proud. And I'm going to finish it with a little story. You listen a little bit, and then you do what you want to do in life. I went to school, grade 1, 2, and 3, in my backyard in my little community. We had community schools. So I went to Verdun. In grade 4, I went to l'École Beau Séjour. They had opened a brand new school. And we had nuns in those days, dressed in habit, who would teach us. And I wanted to make sure that the nuns would see me when I went to l'École Beau Séjour, because I knew everybody at l'École Verdun and knew Claudette Bradshaw. So I would wait for the long car to drive in with the nuns, and every morning I would open the door and I would say, bonjour. They say, bonjour. And I thought, okay, they like me, they're smiling, that's good. And then one morning, Sœur Victor came out and said, Claudette, I have something to give you. She gave me a nun's apron. Well, I thought I had died and friggin' went to heaven. So she gives me an apron, but more than that, she gave me a key. She gave me the key to the room where the ditto machine was. You're all too young, you don't know what that is. It's a photocopying machine that used alcohol. And she said, Claudette, I want you to take charge of that room. I was in grade 4. I had a key to the friggin' room. And I was in charge of cleaning this machine. Now that I'm older and I've been to a lot of case conferences. I know they had a conferences and said, Claudette Arsenault is coming to Beausejour School. What are we going to do with her? And so they probably came out with all of what they could come out with that I had done in my first 3 years. Luckily, Sir Victor said, I know what I'm going to do with her. You leave her to me. I'll take care of Claudette Arsenault. She didn't see a child that had all these letters. She didn't see a child that needed medication. She saw a leader that needed a key and responsibility in her school. So today, at the age of 65, when I die and my tombstone says, the Honourable Dr. Claudette Bradshaw, I have one person to thank. That was my teacher of grade 4, who saw Claudette Arsenault as a leader, not as a problem. In your work, you're going to meet Claudette Arsenault every day. You're going to make major decisions on people's lives because of what you have taken at university. Take everything that you've learned, but look for the good of the person who's going to be in front of you. Look for that leadership. Look for their strength, so that when you go in and sit and develop a community as a sociologist, or you sit as a psychologist, look at the strength of the person who always sits in front of you. And when you sit at a conference, please, please show the team the strength of that person that you're sitting with. That's what you've decided to do with your life. And you know what? I just told Alan on the way in. He said, is Head Start still going? I said, Alan, you won't believe this, but we've given out 72 scholarship to our kids. Kids who should never have finished grade 5. We're now graduating and going to university. That's what we can do. When you see a person sitting on the street, I always give them money. I never pass by a homelessness person. And every time I give them money, I say, thanks, Mom, thanks, Dad. Thanks, whoever was a model for me, that I'm not on that street. Thanks, Sir Victor, for believing in me in grade 4. So today, when I got the invitation to come here and be with you, it was such an honor for me. I wish I was your age again and I could start all over again. My husband always says it's a pleasure to wake up with me, not because I'm cute. Because I'm so happy to get up and go to work. There is not a day. I've learned so much from the Head Start children and from the Head Start parents and from the people now who were chronically on the street. And we've put them in apartments with a multidisciplinary team. And now they want to go back to school. Now they want to work. Now there's somebody. They walk their head high. My son got a call the other day from one of them. He wanted to know if I wanted a lasagna. Imagine that now. That's who they are. That's what they do. That's who you're going to be with every day of your life. The day you walk out with your diploma and you walk into your first job, it's the day you're really going to start learning. I've learned so much in my field of work. I've learned about poverty. I've learned about hunger. I've learned about who they are and how lucky I am. Now when I open my fridge, I'm glad, I'm happy, I appreciate it. When Doug tells me he loves me at night, I understand what that word means. They don't. So to you, I leave you. Have as much fun as I've had the last 50 years, and maybe we'll talk again in 50 years from now. Come and see me in Mountain. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ellen.